All right. Hey, family. My name is Justaria Curry, and I am the demystified herbalist. Welcome to the fifth episode of the Dear Herbalist podcast titled Shake the Dust Off Your Feet. I know some of you are like, where's this coming from? All right. But there's a scripture in Matthew 10:14 that says, "And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words, when ye depart out of that house or city, shake the dust off of your feet." All right? Shake off the dust of your feet. Okay? So, what does that necessarily mean, right? What does that mean to you? And why is that important as herbalists that we do that? Well, there are going to be times when you try to give people sound advice and they just simply don't want to hear it. And so, for those that are close, well, those that are not necessarily close to you, it might just affect you in a small way. You might be annoyed at best, but not heartbroken, right? But I think where it stings is when you try to talk to people around you, particularly people in your family. And when you are not received, or the information or message that you're giving is not received, it can hurt and cause you to question your abilities as an herbalist, right? It shouldn't, but it can happen. It's almost like you think to yourself, well, dang, if I can't even get my family to listen to me, how in the world, how in the world can I get anyone else outside of here to listen, right? Or you can be somebody that, you're trying to warn your community around you, and people aren't trying to hear that. They're just kind of like, whatever, you're crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're talking about, chemtrails and poisons, and, you're a nut and trying to use plants, and plants, it's not scientifically backed, you know. And so people reject what you have to offer. Okay. But let me paint a different perspective. Let's explain some of the reasons why people don't want to heed what it is that you have to say, right? Especially concerning plant medicine and how you can use it to, you know, for yourself or for them, you know. So let's talk about that. Sorry, I just got a cramp in my shoulder. Trying to work that thing out. Anyway, all right, so let's talk about it. Why do people reject what you have to offer? Well, let's talk about one issue, and that is cognitive dissonance, right? And cognitive dissonance is when a person holds a conflicting belief or attitude. Um, it causes discomfort. It's almost like having two ideas that don't match, and it makes you feel uneasy. So, the knowledge of plant medicine for a lot of people can kind of go against what they've always been told. And a lot of people were raised on pharmaceutical medication, right? So, that's all they know. So, for some of them, when you start talking about side effects of the pharmaceutical medications and what, some of the harm that they can bring, it's like, well, we've always used it. And, it's almost like you're going against what they really believe. And because of that, it makes people uneasy. So, what happens when you feel uneasy? You don't want to feel that anymore. So, you reject it. You reject the feeling, the belief, the thought, the attitude, whatever it is. Your first thought in your mind is to reject it, right? You wouldn't keep your hand on a burning stove, right? As soon as you determine that it's hot, you snatch your hand away. Well, it's the same thing when you are giving someone information that it is challenging their core belief. That can happen, all right? So keep that in mind. The other thing is, you know, herbal hurt, as I call it. And that is people who have been hurt by fellow herbalists, lied to, been made promises that weren't kept. Okay, which is very dangerous. And it's the reason why I say, do not overpromise. Don't make promises and guarantees and things that you can't realistically keep, because it does hurt people, you know, especially those people who are charging for their services. Sometimes we can get so business oriented that, we tend to focus on the marketing and psychology aspect of business, that we don't take the time to realize that we are human beings and they are human beings. This isn't a marketing ploy. This isn't about getting rich quick. I think sometimes, it's important to have a business and to set your business up correctly and establish everything as it needs to. But I think sometimes it can skew herbalists from, providing a good product or a product that works, without having to over embellish it for a sale. So you want to be honest with people, right? But because of the fact that some herbalists were not, or they've caused harm, that is the reason why when you come with your, bright eyes and fresh information, they don't even want to hear it. They ain't even trying to give you the time of day. Another reason why people don't want to give you the time of day is misinformation. All right, there's a lot of misinformation out there. And just because you say something over and over and over and over again doesn't make it right. Okay? Again, just because you say something wrong over and over and over again does not make it right. Okay? There has been this ongoing lie that has said herbs have not been backed by science. They are not studied. Not only that lie, but then the other lie is that herbs are ineffective. And that's a clear lie, because if they were not effective, okay, then the World Health Organization would not state that practically over 80% of Asian and African countries are using herbal medicine as their primary health care. Right? Never mind the fact I know it's a lie, because I've used it for my own family and I've used it with my clients. Sorry, my chair is squeaking. This is actually a really good podcast, Mike. It picks up everything. Everything. But misinformation. And to continually say that herbal medicine is not backed by science, I think what they should say is the medical community does not support plant medicine. We only want to take from the plants their chemical properties, and then add our synthetics to them and make our own medicine. But we don't support just pulling it from the tree or from the stem and using it straight out. Maybe just say it that way. But do not say that they are not studied and that they are not backed by science, when in several, and this is the importance of doing studying and research, because you want to be armed with knowledge. And the people that spread this misinformation are either grossly ignorant or they have an evil agenda, right? And I'd like to think that a lot of the common people that say this stuff, everyday man, is just ignorant, right? But there are hundreds of thousands of studies on different plants and their effectiveness and impact on the human body. You want to check some out and start reading? Go to PubMed. PUB as in boy, MED as in dog. PubMed. And read the hundreds of thousands, okay, of research articles about the effectiveness of herbal medicine. All right. Now, What's another reason people can try to reject what you have to say? A lot of times people just want a quick fix, and that's it. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to hear about the process, getting to the root of the issue, doing the work. They don't want to hear none of that. So if you are talking to them any longer than 5 minutes and you ain't said, just take this and that's it, you can still smoke, you can still drink, you can still eat junk, you can still stress out. You know what I mean? You don't have to do nothing else. Just drink this potion and 1, 2, 3, you good. If you ain't said that in 5 minutes or less, then they ain't listening to the thing you got to say. And for those type of people, I wouldn't take that to heart too much because they weren't going to do the work anyway. And you really even don't want clients like that. Because if you are, let's say, doing, clinical herbal medicine, or you're a herbal coach, or, however you want to frame it. But the bottom line is that you have clients that you see, you assess their situation, and you make recommendations of herbs based on your assessment. You really don't want people that just want a quick fix, because they're not going to be a part of the process. They're not going to be invested in the process. Okay? They're not going to have any skin in the game, and they're not going to want to give up those things that are probably harming them, and probably the real reason why they are harmed. Okay? They also may not follow, your protocols, and they can end up harming themselves, and they won't take any type of personal responsibility, but they will flip it on you. And some people, if they got the money, will try to sue you. So you really don't want them type of clients. If they're lazy and they just want a quick fix, it's almost like I tell people when they try to ask me for a quick fix, like, oh, what's that one herb that, can cause major change? And I was like, well, there are those herbs that are so poisonous, that, if you get maybe even a half a gram off, you can kill someone, right? So is that the quick fix you want? Of course not, right? So the other thing, okay, is fear, right? It's fear. People are afraid of, whether or not the herb is effective. Will they, mix or mess up the pharmaceutical medications they're already taking, right? Will they die? Do they work? Do herbs work? They're just gripped with fear. And because of that, they reject that knowledge. Okay? And then the last thing is people just want to rely on pharmaceutical medication. That's it. Nothing else. Hey, I got my pills. I got this and that. I got my plan. I don't want to do nothing else. I don't want nobody else asking me no more questions or poking and prodding and that kind of thing. And then one more thing, I didn't add it in my notes, but I do want to say this because I have been thinking about this as well. A lot of times in your family, you may have people that are dealing with embarrassing conditions. Okay. They could be dealing with STDs, AIDS, those type of things, herpes, gonorrhea, whatever. They could be dealing with something, and they really don't want to disclose all of that to you. I had someone call me on a hypothetical situation, but because I knew this person, I was like, I didn't want to press, but I had a feeling it was for them that they were asking me. So I went along with it. I said, well, typically a person in this situation could do these things, but I would still need to ask a few more questions so that I know specifically what to recommend. And so by the end of the conversation, this person just broke down. I was like, oh, it's me and I need help. What can you do? What do I need to do? And so we began to talk from there. I didn't shame them. I didn't make them feel bad, but I was grateful that they were honest with me, and that they were like, look, it's just me. I need help. It is just that bad. And so, because they were honest and I was able to ask the questions that I needed, I was able to, make some recommendations to help them. Okay. But keep that in mind. Okay. That sometimes people may reject what you have simply because they may have something, but it's probably too embarrassing to talk about to cousin so and so about it. They don't want nobody wants to be shamed. All right. So what do? In those instances, you try to talk to people, you give them information, they're not trying to hear it. What do you do? All right. Well, first of all, you have to let go of the pressure to make sure people that have, that you put on yourself, let me say that, to make sure that people take in what you're saying, digest it, and then put it to action. Okay? Just simply give them the information, and if they need it, give them time to digest what you're saying or even research it. Okay? And sometimes they may not do any of that. They may just throw it out. But just give them the information and just take a step back. Okay? The other thing that you can do, and the other thing I would say is to respect people's ability to make their own choices, even if it doesn't align with yours. And I think that's really hard, especially when it comes to family, and especially if it's a severe case or it's a serious illness or life-threatening illness. It's hard when you know that you can help or at least attempt to help. And, you just sitting and watching that person waste away. It's hard. But at the end of the day, we're not responsible if people live or die. And sometimes, people, they just want to be left alone, you know. And as much as it hurts, you have to respect that. You can't try to force it on them, because they won't try to heed it. They won't. And it's hard. The other thing, if you attempt to tell anyone what you have learned about herbal medicine, okay, and they don't want to hear it, then follow what the scriptures say when it says to shake the dust off your feet. Shake off the excess care and excess concern. I'm not saying don't be concerned, and I'm not saying not to care. But when you are occupying your mind night and day with care and concern and worry over the fact that that person didn't hear your message, you have to let it go. And it's not easy sometimes. Like I said, especially when it's someone that is close to you. But you have to release them and let them go. And pray and trust that your information that you've given has been placed in their mind. And that at the right time it will come back up and they'll make different decisions. Okay? But the reality is there's over 7 billion people in the world that need your advice and need your knowledge. So you have to focus on the ones that will listen to you. And trust me, there are people out there that will listen to you, right? Someone is waiting on the gifts that you have, and you can't, you can't bow out early, because those around you won't even heed your advice. And I know it gets frustrating from time to time. Trust me, I've been there trying to tell my family about things, and they're like, yeah, all right. And I'm like, hey, it's me that we're talking about here. This isn't like Joe Schmo from around the corner. I have your best interest at heart. I want to see you alive. I want to see you healthy. And I believe that I can help you. So when people reject that or seemingly reject it, it hurts. It does. But even I, too, had to be reminded that my gifts are for a people. And that expands farther than my zip code. Okay? So don't let the fact that people do not want to hear your message about herbal medicine discourage you. Okay? Dissenting people will come, but you just have to keep moving forward. Your voice will resonate with the spirit it was assigned to. So keep that in mind and don't stop speaking. All right? So I pray that this was very helpful to you on you and your journey. All right? Feel free to check out any future podcasts on Spotify and YouTube. And until next time, family, shalom.